to take your questions and also to talk about our immigration plans for 2025. So I'm excited to talk to you about the upcoming year, and I'm really excited about the upcoming year. So let's talk about it. I'm also going to answer some questions. So be sure to put your questions in the comments. Now, I am really excited. I am looking forward to 2025. And the reason I'm so excited, yes, we have challenges coming up, but I am hopeful. I'm excited. I am working hard to make sure that my clients can get the relief that they deserve. And I'm excited though, because we definitely have relief available. There are still options available for people to get their papers. Immigration is not going away. All right. And the United States needs immigrants. The past couple of days, we've seen a sort of plot twist where we've seen Trump sort of take a more softened position on the need for immigrants. Yes, he was referring to H-1B visas, but before, his whole spiel was he's getting rid of everybody. He's reducing immigration, he's mass deporting. But now we are hearing, can let me know on Instagram if you're able to hear me. I see one person said they're unable to hear me. So just let me know if you're having a problem hearing. Hi there on TikTok. But then he changed his stance and he is now saying, the country needs skilled immigrants. He's also said that he's going to give green cards to college graduates. So he's sort of taking a different stance. And what that tells me, while he is one that we can never hold him to his word, uh, what this tells me is that as we approach 2025, the reality of living in this country without the contributions of immigrants in this country is now setting in. And so that hardened approach that we're seeing before may be softening. So, and most of all, what it tells me is immigration is not going away. So, as much as we are hearing about this mass deportation, I want you to focus on the solutions. The laws are there to protect you, the laws are there to give you the solutions. They are here. And that's what we're going to focus on in 2025. So I want you to take that approach as well. I know it's hard with everything going on in the news, with the ups and downs of what we're hearing, but I want you to stay focused on the possible options available to you to be able to get your protection and get your papers here. Okay, great. I see. So you can hear me. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know. So I'm really excited. I'm hopeful as always as we enter the new year, and we're going to keep fighting hard for our clients as we always have. And we're going to be doing that, finding those options for our clients, especially where you're here without your papers. Now, even with deportation, the only way you can be deported is if you don't have options, right? If you don't have a legal basis to be here, then that is where you are at the highest risk for deportation. So, what I would say is evaluate your options. It's never too late to do that and be able and jump on it, because that is where you are going to be at the highest risk for any kind of detainment or deportation. So I want you to know that just being an immigrant alone is not going to get you deported. And then we have heard time and time again that immigrants are still going to go through a due process, meaning that you're not going to just be, immigrants are not just going to be detained and sent out of the country. immigrants who are detained will have a process that they have to go through. But I say this, don't wait until something like that happens, because it gets a lot more complicated. And the risk of deportation gets a lot higher. So make sure that you evaluate your options, and do that by getting in touch with the office so that we can get started on your options. I am still, as you can see, I'm logging in late because I'm at work. I am working full time to make sure that my clients' cases are filed within a certain time, just because we want to make sure that the clients that retained us, they know that they're entering the new year with that relief in process. And so I'm saying to you, no, start early, get on it early. Don't be one of those to regret not seeking the assistance from the start. Don't be one of those. Be the person that took the early action to protect yourself, protect the interests of yourself and your family. Where are you located? I'm located in Delray Beach. We also have a location in Boca Raton, they're neighboring cities. But keep in mind that we represent clients all over the country and the world. So no matter where you are in the country, we are here to help you. All right. So I'm going to answer questions because I'm excited about your questions that are coming. And feel free to also put in the comments what you're looking forward to for the new year. I want to see that. I want to be inspired. I want to be to continue to be excited, not only about my plans, but I want to see what your plans are for 2025. I want to be able to I have a lot of hope and excitement for my clients, for the law firm, for our team, for the impact we're going to make. And I want to be excited about what you are planning for 2025. So let's be hopeful today. Let's be excited for the new chapter. And keep in mind that with every adversity that comes along, it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity. Adversity is an opportunity. Look at it this way. Maybe it's the opportunity you need to get up and figure out how you're going to get your papers. Because many of our clients that become our clients, they often did not know that they had these options until they spoke to us. So look at it this way too. Adversity is opportunity. All right. So I'm going to start with TikTok. Then I'm going to go to Instagram and then YouTube. So please hang on as I make my way over to each platform. Thanks so much. I've been 10 years in the US. My kids are here. Are there any options? So this fact alone would not help me to figure out an option for you. But it, that is usually a good place to start. In that, give us a call. Then we talk about what you've been through, what's going on in your current circumstances, to figure out if there are options available, if there is relief available for you and your family. So that's where the consultation is going to be very important. But, of course, we still don't have immigration reform yet that would allow those who have been here for a certain amount of time, who's paid their taxes, to get their papers. But this is where I also say, who knows? As I said, we are hopeful, we are being positive, and if we see immigration reform in the near future, I guarantee that immigration reform is going to include proof that you paid taxes. It's going to have a requirement that you've paid taxes over a certain period of time. It's going to have a requirement that you can show in your background check that you have a clean record or an acceptable record. And it may also have a part of it that requires that you have lived in the United States for a certain period of time. In every piece of major bills that I've seen publicized, they have had these elements in the bill. So I would say this, also look at making sure that you're complying with tax laws. Make sure you're filing those taxes. Yes, even if you don't have your papers, you can file your taxes. And filing taxes can be good proof that you have abided by the law here. It can be good proof of residence here in the US, and it can be evidence of good moral character. You can't go wrong, even though it doesn't by itself give you the option of residence. It is, you can't go wrong with it, and it has been used even in certain immigration cases to show that you've been here, that you've been abiding by immigration law, that you have good moral character. So that's also something to keep in mind as we look forward to the future and the opportunities that are possible in the future. Um, okay, I can't wait to meet with you. Happy New Year 2025. I've been 10 years in the US. Okay. I've been 10 years in the US. Are there options? I think I answered this. Happy New Year. Um, how to obtain a US work visa when you're a Canadian. So there is what's called the TN visa. That's one option. And so when you're coming, so the TN visa is based on certain types of work. And if you have certain types of qualifications and you can show that you're coming into the United States to do certain type of work, like for example accounting, then that can you can get be granted a TN visa right there on the border, and you can enter the US. So that is one type of special type of visa that is granted, work visa that is granted to Canadian citizens. However, when it comes to other types of visas, you do have to qualify the same way as everybody else. But that is one easy type of visa that you can use to be able to stay here, live here temporarily and work here. How long does the process I-130 take from Morocco? So I would say prepare for 9 months to 12 months, and it depends on who's sponsoring you. If it's not a U.S. citizen that's sponsoring you, it may take longer. Or you're an adult child of a U.S. citizen. Happy New Year in Nigeria. Thanks so much. Also, you also asked, do you work with people from Nigeria? Absolutely. I have Nigerian clients, and I do work with clients that are currently in Nigeria, mainly family based. I am worried if Trump is going to cancel U visa. That's my only chance. I'm in removal. So right now, we have not heard of any canceling of the U visa. That has been described in Project 2025, which is sort of like a blueprint of what we're thinking Trump may be following. But as I said before, for example, Project 2025 talked about getting rid of work visas, and we've seen Trump take a different position on that to say we need those visas. We need people to come into the country on those visas. So, it shows a softening of his stance and his appreciation for immigrants and how they contribute through the work programs. So that is all to say that we may not see any changes related to these types of visas, like the U visa, the T visa. What I can say is if you submitted that already, it means that you've already submitted for relief under the current U visa. The U Keep in mind, the Trump cannot come in and just say U visas are gone, T visas are gone, VAWA is gone. He cannot do that. It is statutory law, right? It is not something that the president creates. He does not have the authority to get rid of statutory law. Only Congress can do that. So it's going, even if Congress under his control, right? If the Republicans control Congress and then they work with Trump and they all decide to work together to X these out in some kind of immigration reform bill, then that's going to take time. And so we will definitely see it coming. But usually, what happens too is that those who are already protected under the law will continue to be protected under the law, right? So that is also, and that would be a huge destabilizing force if everybody, the victims, for example, under the U visa, victims of crime were protected under the U visa are then um, destabilized. This kind of relief is ripped from under them, then it means that they are left without protection, which would be a huge huge reason for debate and resistance. So, that is very unlikely. And even if it doesn't happen, if it does happen, it will take time, and we'll know and we'll be able to take action to fight such kinds of actions. What will happen if someone came here as tourists, then stayed and is working? So it means that you overstayed your visa, or you're working without a permit. And you're not supposed to do that when you come in on a tourist visa. You're supposed to just visit and without working. So if you stayed and you overstayed your visa, then the only form of relief would be is if you qualified for something. Like, for example, my clients who have gotten into a situation like that, where they came in on a tourist visa, they worked, and then they found out that they were lured into a type of job, and then the job turned out to be a nightmare. They were overworked, underpaid, not paid what was promised, mistreated, threatened, and that was what was related to the overstay. Then that's a T visa. But keep in mind that even if you've been here for years and then ended up in a situation like that, that could still lead to you getting relief under the T visa. So this is where I say, don't count yourself out. If you are in a situation where you're here, you need to get your papers right. What you need to do is get that consultation. It's well worth it. It is an investment that you need to make for yourself. And that will definitely help us to figure out a way to help you. After 2 years, my green card asked me RFE I sent, and USC receive right now 130 days, not change anything. So I'm not sure why they asked for the RFE. If it's gone over the processing times, you can always do a case inquiry. Is it safe to travel on the I-751 notice? Yes, it is. It is safe to travel, but make sure that when you're traveling, you don't have a criminal record, that you're not at an increased risk, that your case has not been referred to any kind of removal proceedings. For the most part, though, when you are applying for going from a 2-year green card to a 10-year green card, and you get the I-751 notice extension letter, by the way, then that extension letter serves as proof that you continue to be a permanent resident. And as long as you keep your card with the original letter, then you can travel with that card. But I would say be very cautious. And this is where, keep in mind, I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving you personalized legal advice. This is where it's very important to have an attorney. Because the attorney can guide you as to whether it's safe or not to even travel, depending on what's going on in your case. Can I send in I-864 with a pending tax year? Can I update it at a later day? So the tax return should be recent, and it should be the filed tax return. You can't send a draft. It has to be the actual tax return. Recently got my green card. In your opinion, is it safe to travel in January? Now, the green card you are allowed to travel on the green card. Just make sure that your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, you don't have any increased risk. For example, no arrest, no issues where an officer could stop you and question you, or possibly give you some form of problems, especially seeing that As we go into, I practiced during the last Trump administration, and what I found in the practice, what I came across a lot were things like, you had a green card, and they would really, if you're traveling, if you stayed out of the country too long, that would result in a lot of problems, and referral to immigration court for deportation. So you have to make sure you understand how long you can be outside of the country for. You're not supposed to be outside of the country for more than 6 months. And I would say staying outside of the US for 4 months at a time is sort of pushing it, especially if you're planning to apply for citizenship. Generally, it's safe to travel. Just make sure that your everything is good in your background. And if you have doubts, get an attorney and make sure you have an attorney guide you. Can I get travel document with T visa? Yes. Under the current rules, the travel document is allowed for the T visa. Now, as we go into the next administration, once again, be very cautious about traveling. If you get a travel document with the T visa, make sure it's worth it, and make sure you fully understand the risk, because we are going to go into, even though the laws allow for these things, they will definitely have different approaches from this current administration. So you want to be very careful about the risk and make sure that um, you are fully informed. Got my receipt notice 65 days ago, and I'm yet to get biometrics date. Is that normal? Yes, that can be normal. Is it true bona fide determination work permit takes 5 years? No. No. If that's for the U visa, no, it doesn't take 5 years. I would say it takes anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years, though. 13 months already for my wife. I-130 still waiting. How long does it take? So yeah, it takes around a year, 9 months to a year. So 13 months is sort of long, and it depends on, I don't know if you're a US citizen or you're a permanent resident, but usually it can take 13 months, as we see processing times get longer. 13 months isn't too far outside of the 12 months. Can you still do US visa if the abuser gets deported? Yes, very important. Yes. If I think you're talking about the U visa, yes. For VAWA, U visa, T visa, even if the abuser gets deported, you can still go for it. Um, Is it safe to travel with advance parole after January 20th? This is really on a case by case basis. Get an attorney. And one advice I would have here is it's more important than ever to make sure you have an attorney on speed dial. Make sure you have an attorney that you can call to get advice, that you guide you through your processes. If you have any questions about the risks that you're faced with, make sure you talk to an attorney. It's more important than ever. And when I say an attorney, I mean a licensed, trusted attorney, not one of those corner store people that claim that they fill out immigration forms. They do not know the law. And many of them actually get people in trouble. Now is not the time to play around with your papers. Don't play around with your papers. Don't Make sure you're not a paralegal. You're not talking to a paralegal either. Make sure you talk to an immigration attorney and build a relationship with an attorney that you can call on and talk to them about your case, because it's going to be more important than ever. Cases that you thought was simple may not be as simple. That's what I take it from me, who practiced during the last Trump administration. I am very well aware of um, the what it's like, and seemingly simple cases will no longer be such, or you will be slapped upside the head with something out of left field that you were not anticipating, like accusations of fraud, or they're asking questions, just going really deep into your application. So you want to make sure you are advised along the way. I have received BFD on October and November. The EAD package was sent. How long will it take to arrive? So it should take about 2 weeks to arrive. How to get an appointment? Go to the link in the profile. You can schedule your own appointment, or you can call the office. The number is all over my videos. It's also on the profile page, or it's on Linktree. It's on the website. If you go to the Linktree and click on the website, you'll see the number there. So many ways to get in touch. You can even DM us. We have staff around the clock that answers questions and make sure that you are given the attention you need. So make sure that you take this opportunity to contact us, one of those ways to get your appointment. Um, is it safe to travel with advanced parole after January 20? Can I still do the U visa if the abuser is deported? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much for your videos. Sometimes I feel down and hopeless listening to your videos. Give me hopes. I'm so glad. I'm glad. And this is what I'm telling you here is I'm glad it gives you hope. It's real and it is there. It is valid for you. So take advantage of it. Can I file U visa by myself? Oh, you will never catch me telling you to go do it by yourself. You can do anything by yourself, but is it advisable, right? Would you, would you, when you know that your future is on the line, and this is heavily based on the law, and you're going to definitely need someone who is an expert, who understands the intricacies of this law where you don't. Would you put your future on the line and do it by yourself, to do a process that you know nothing about? There are aspects of this that, like for example, when I'm doing the work that I do, there is heavy legal drafting involved. That means that we work on our legal arguments, and we also work with our clients to get the necessary facts that can help the officer to determine whether or not you qualify, which if you're working with me, you likely qualify, and that's why you're my client. Um, in most cases, if you didn't go to law school, you're not going to have those drafting skills. You're not going to be able to draft a legal brief that you put in with your client's documentation to explain to the officer exactly why the client qualifies for this. So I would say you can do it, but is it advisable? Would you put your future on the line doing something like that? So now is not the time to have this DIY mentality. Now is not the time. 2025 is not the time. I would see where you need to put your energy is to get the people that can put their expertise, their qualifications into properly advocating for you. All right. So now my sis is out of status F1, but now married to a US citizen. Will that affect her case? No, it should not. But keep in mind, I don't know the case, and it just depends on the facts. Generally, no. But if there were some issues, like the overstay is related to some kind of misrepresentation, or any kind of visa fraud, that can be a different story. So definitely get legal advice. All right, so now I'm on Instagram. Um, I'm here in America 1 month now, but was planning to stay because my tenure about to up. What can I do? So I would say at this point is, it's not a good time to stay. If you have now, if you're qualified to stay, if you have a relative, if you have an employer who can sponsor you, then that's a possibility for you to stay and apply for what's called adjustment of status. But if you are just coming with your visitor's visa to stay, I'm telling you no, it's never going to be an easy path. It's not going to be an easy path and it might get messy. So, this is where before you make any decisions, please get legal guidance, because that is what's going to help you to make an informed decision. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that coming on their visa and staying is going to work out. And then I will meet people who have been here for 30 years, still not realize understanding how to fix their papers and not being able to return to their country at the same time. And many times they end up becoming my clients because they end up in really traumatic situations where they're exploited, victimized, abused by others because of their situation. So if you have stayed and you have now you've been the victim of abuse or mistreatment, especially by an employer, an intimate partner, anybody who has forced you to do anything, it's now time to talk to us to see if you can qualify for any form of relief. But I would say don't make any decisions about staying until you really get the truth and the raw advice of the attorney, so you're fully informed. My question is in reference to the EB2. I'm currently on a J1 visa and I'm not subject to the 2-year home rule. Can I apply for the EB2? So, my next question with the EB2, you're likely referring to the national interest waiver. And the national interest waiver is a type of category that's given to those who have advanced degrees. That means you have a master's degree or you have a doctorate. In certain cases, if you also show that you have your bachelor's degree and then you have 5 years of work experience related to that bachelor's degree, then that can also be a basis for the national interest waiver. No, with the national interest waiver, you after you prove that you qualify. Another thing is if none of those apply, you don't have a degree, bachelor's degree with 5 years experience, you don't have a master's, you don't have a doctorate, you don't have an advanced degree. The next thing you can show is exceptional ability. Exceptional ability, you have to then prove why you have exceptional ability in the field that you're in. So, for example, in a business field or STEM field, if you have exceptional ability but not necessarily a degree, like for example, you worked your way to the top of your field, you worked your way to a thriving business through and gained great business acumen, then that could also be a way to show exceptional ability. You'd have to show, for example, do you have a minimum of 10 years experience? Have you had awards? Do you have publications? Do you earn more, a salary more than the usual because of your exceptional ability? These are the types. Do you have certification? Do you have membership in professional groups? You have to show at least, I believe, 2 or 3 of the 6 criteria to be able to qualify, to prove exceptional ability. After you've met that, then you have to go ahead and show. Now they say, okay, you have exceptional ability or you have the advanced degree. Great. You have passed the first prong of this national interest waiver evaluation. Now, the next question is, do you have a goal of substantial merit or national importance that is going to basically advance the interests of the United States? Doesn't mean you have to be famous, doesn't mean you have to be invent anything. It doesn't mean you have to do anything like that, but it does still mean that you have to show that whatever field you're in, for example, in engineering, are you working on cutting edge technology that is going to advance an industry in the United States? That's just an example. That is an example of something of substantial merit and national importance, because it's of a national interest. It's going to advance the United States. Then you move on to the second prong that says, do you have the means? So do you have the experience necessary? Have you worked in the industry? Do you have the business plans to show that you can achieve these goals? Do you have recommendations from different people you've worked with that can vouch for your experience? Then the last one would be, and is it going to be advantageous to the more advantageous to the United States to just give you the green card rather than require you to do this through an employer? So then the EB2 is very specific on the requirements. And then keep in mind, now you are currently on the J1. You have to meet all these requirements, and you cannot overstay. Now, if you've already overstayed, sure, you can apply for the petition, but you still would not be able to apply for adjustment of status to fix your papers to get your green card here in the US. So that in a nutshell is the EB2, and you have to be very careful with it. Because you can't overstay, and right now there's a wait list, so you have to be very get legal advice, definitely. Talk to me, schedule an appointment so we can go through it and then determine if it's the right path for you. Once my work permit max out, if I joined before college, before max out, should I convert F1 to continue to stay in the US, or need to exit and come back to the US? Now, your work permit, I would want to know, because keep in mind that work permit is not the same as work visa. So if you have a work visa, then you may be able to change status to an F1 student. In some cases, if you have J1, that may not be possible. J1 with a 2-year foreign residency requirement. But if you have a work permit, that's different. Work permits are usually something that doesn't give you immigration status. It just says that you have permission to be here to work. So it depends on your situation. I would say definitely get legal advice here, schedule an appointment, let's talk. How long does it take to get bona fide determination after applying for the T visa? So right now we're seeing 70 to 90 days for the ones that we've gotten so far. All right, great questions. How long does it take for an I-130 to be approved? I'd say 9 to 12 months. I'm looking forward to seeing my daughters. I am too, and we're working really hard. Because I am in West Palm, yes, definitely get in touch. I'd love to talk to you about your options. How long after RFE for affidavit does USCIS take to make decision? So, you could be looking at 4 to 6 weeks to hear back about it. I got a problem from 2006. I want to talk with you to see what can be done. Schedule, please make sure you schedule. We have multiple attorneys now that are available to discuss your options. So please make sure that you get on our schedules so that we can talk to you. We have Attorney Bria, we have Attorney Deanna that are available, and they work very closely with me to evaluate the cases to make sure that you qualify and so we can get started. So really love your work. Want to know about asylum stuff. What's your take about as we're kicking in the new year? So right now with asylum, of course, we're going to be seeing a lot of restrictions with asylum, especially at the border. It's probably going to face more stringent review. And so we have to be prepared for that. So we have to see, where this goes. I know during the last Trump administration, when it came to not necessarily asylum, but even taking in refugees from other countries, that was drastically reduced. So we may start seeing issues like that happening again, and we might see this even reflected in policy. So we have to see. What are supporting documents for I-5904? Does it affect my application? So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what the I-590 is. How much does your services cost? $150 to schedule a consultation. Oh, thank you so much, Althea. Happy New Year. I have a quick question, please. How long have you seen removal of conditions based on abuse, self-petition take? Do you handle such cases? What's the cost? So we don't talk about the cost until we know exactly what's involved in your case. But the consultation is $150. So make sure you schedule that right away so that you can get on our calendar. And it ranges anywhere from a year and a half to 4 years. So the shortest I've had so far is about a year and a half. The longest the longest, my average is a year and a half. However, I have had clients that have come to me after it has taken many years, like 4 years. And then when we got involved, then they made a decision. So, but yeah, I would say on average across the board, I've noticed a year and a half to 4 years. Now that's why they're issuing 4-year extensions. How long to obtain T visa? A year to year and a half. As they are now issuing bona fides, that may be an indication that processing times might get longer. So we have to see. I got my green card through SIGS. Can I file for my wife and 4 stepkids overseas? Yes. But you just wouldn't be able to sponsor your parents, but you can definitely sponsor your spouse. How long after RFE? So I answered that. When I-130 is approved, what could delay adjustment of status? The medical, they may need a medical, they may need more information. One of my friends applied for VAWA last year. How long you think it need to wait? So the total time it takes is 3 years, but you would get your work permit in 6 to 12 months. Work permits right now are 5 years. And then from there, they make a decision and then they process the green card. What's the process for a person that overstayed her visa and want to get married to a citizen? If you get married to a U.S. citizen, then you just go through adjustment of status process. I felt okay. I filed for my daughter. She's 21 in a bath. I'm not sure about that. She's 21, but I'm not sure what the other part is. How long does it take for approval? So 9 to 12 months. And if she's here in the US and you applied when she was under 21 and you're a US citizen, then that's okay. If you applied when she's 21 or over, it's 5 to 7 years. Do you have an office in New York? We don't have the physical office in New York, but as an immigration attorney, I represent clients in all 50 states. So I'm not required to have an office in New York. I can represent you if you live in New York and based in Florida, I can still represent you. So give us a call. We'd love to assist you. What's the processing time for I-130? 9 to 12 months. I have a question. For EB2 towards green card, do you need to have research paper published and citations, or only masters will be enough? So with the research papers and the citations, those don't go to your qualifications for the degree. What it goes to is, do you have the means to achieve the goals, the important goals of national importance and substantial merit? So it's not absolutely required, but it is very helpful to have publications if you are going to show that you have the qualifications to do that. And then also the research paper, keep in mind that if there's also questions about if you did this research paper and it was in your degree program, that may be a problem, right? Because doing coursework doesn't necessarily go towards proving any kind of exceptional ability, or to show that you have the means to achieve the goal. But if this is a publication in your professional capacity, then that can be very useful. But it's not absolutely required, but it is something that has been very valuable in the process of proving the prongs for the national interest waiver. I'm currently on J1 visa and I'm not subject to the 2-year home rule. Can I apply for the EB2? So we talked about that already. I came here with a visitor's visa. I applied for asylum in 2015. I have work permit, but my case is still pending. What can I do? Yes, so they can go very long, and one way is if your case has gone beyond the processing times, like you're approaching 10 years, and that's beyond the normal processing times, you can submit an inquiry or even file a mandamus to get it reviewed by a court. How long to obtain my T visa? Would an individual receive work permit first? Right now, based on the rules, they are allowing for work permits to be issued while you wait. Can someone with a misdemeanor charge an on probation petition for a spouse? Yes, they can. But keep in mind, there's what's called Adam Walsh Act. If it involved a minor, that may be a problem. Can speeding misdemeanors affect you getting citizenship? Not right off the bat, no. Speeding, traffic violations, not necessarily, but if it turned, say it was and you said misdemeanor here, speeding, so I don't think it has a severity of maybe somebody getting injured in a car accident or something that may carry more seriousness. Do you do Sunday consultations? No, we don't do those right now. But that may be a good idea, especially for the increased need for access to legal advice. That may be something that I will do in the future. So look out for that. I have photos with my husband. Can I file for FAWA? Photos can be used as evidence of bona fides. Keep in mind there may be other types of evidence required, but this is where it's very important to get legal advice. Since it's a year and a half up to 4 years, can you file citizenship when you get up to 3 years and have both decided at the same time? No, because you're separated from your spouse due to mistreatment, which I think, all right, maybe that's not the case. It just depends. I can't remember the facts you stated, but let me put it two ways. If you are separated from your spouse based on mistreatment or divorce, you have to wait the 5 years. If 4 years and 9 months apply for citizenship. If you're still with your spouse and you're applying for the 2-year to the 10-year, you and your spouse are living in marital union, then you can apply for citizenship once you get up to the 3-year. Are there any other ways an international student can get their green card in the US? Not just from being an international student, but who knows, we have a little plot twist where I did see an interview segment, a kind of shocking interview segment with Trump, where he did mention he wants all college kids to get college students who get their degrees to get their green cards. So who knows, that might be a huge plot twist that we see in this new season of America in 2025. Can F1 student apply for EB2 NIW? as doing masters in STEM program. So just doing the masters in STEM program is not going to qualify you for NIW. But if you have any other types of experiences and degrees in the past that can qualify you to achieve the goals, then yes, you can qualify based on your past qualifications. What if I no longer in removal procedure but didn't apply for asylum because of circumstances? Well, now is the time to invest in figuring out what your legal options are and pursue it right away. Because what it means is that even though you're not in removal proceedings, it means you have nothing. You're not protected, right? So them terminating proceedings does not mean that you are not, because they probably terminated it without prejudice. And what that means is they can always reopen it or come back and start another case against you. So you want to make sure that you invest in finding a solution and making sure you go with it. Make that your priority. How long would it take to issue work permit while you await the T visa, please? So about 3 to 6 months is the timeline that we're hoping on based on the approvals for the bona fides. How long do I need to wait to get a work permit after biometrics appointment? So I don't usually count from the biometrics because it's all over the place. But if you no longer in removal procedure, but you didn't get the chance to apply for asylum, okay, so I answered that. My husband is filing for me, but his income is not enough for the affidavit of support. Can I submit? Can I submit his 2024 tax return as it will be able to cover? Yes, but you also still have to show his income, and they still want to see proof of current income. I went to check my I-9409 and it doesn't show the date I left the country. Why is that? I'm not sure. We'd have to understand the full circumstances. All right. Hi there on YouTube. Hi there. I have been here 10 years. So can I apply for a work permit? Being here 10 years alone does not qualify you for a work permit. Get in touch with us. Let's talk about what your experiences have been here in the US, and we could see if you qualify for relief. You have a pending VAWA, cannot wait 3 years. I contacted USCIS, explained financial issues. Can they force me work permit? So it's discretionary whether they're going to expedite it. Now, if you have a pending VAWA with adjustment of status, then you could ask them to expedite that to get you the work permit. But it's really discretionary. I filed VAWA 2022, got 2-year work, which is due to expire in June 2025. After 2 years, my I-360 update from RFE to RFE response received no update about my I-485 since completing biometrics since 2022. Yeah, so it seems like a waiting game. I would say start applying for renewal of your work permit right now. Do you recommend filing VAWA or remarry even if you have started a VAWA? So, it depends on what's going on with you personally. I would say you just got out of this situation. VAWA gives you control, it gives you options over your own destiny without involving a third party. So there's that. If you trust the person that you're looking to marry now and you feel like they will go through this process with you and they will see you through it, then that may be the better option. It just depends on what your personal circumstances are. I don't want to go back to Africa. My family is suffering. So I definitely feel you there, and get in touch with us so we can see what your options are. I understand. I definitely understand. Seeking relief through an attorney is an investment. And, at the end of the day, you have to make a decision about whether you're going to make that investment. Also, keep in mind that there are attorneys out there that do help with affordable access. So if you can always go to pro bono services if you are in trouble, if you have an emergency, you cannot pay for even a consultation. You can also seek pro bono services, and they can also assist you. The pro bono services, sometimes it tends to be slower, just because they have a lot on their plate as well. But it is one of those things I want you to, because I want everybody to be able to have access. You have to put your mind in the place that your future is valuable. It's your future. You want to invest in you, right? You have to prioritize you. So this is where it's very important to make sure that you get your priorities straight, and seek access to legal counsel in order to get the advice you need, especially as we enter 2025. My arrest case was dismissed. Will immigration use it against me in my immigration case? Will ICE be knocking on my door? So it's what I would say is the risk is going to be a lot higher that if you've had any kind of interaction with law enforcement, the risk is going to be much higher that you may face an issue with ICE. Yes, ICE may come to your door, because what we're seeing now that law enforcement is also they are passing laws that allow law enforcement to work directly with ICE to say they have this person in custody, or they can report this person who they've had an interaction with that does not have their papers, and check in with ICE to see if they want to go pick them up, or if they want to pick them up from the station. We're seeing this law in Georgia, I believe Tennessee, and in certain states we're seeing these laws. And I believe in Arizona they just passed a law where the actual local court, can remove immigrants, like deport them. So the risk is much higher if you've had any kind of interaction with law enforcement. One thing I will say is my prediction is that in January, what we will see after January 20th, we will see they are going to target certain individuals first. They're going to go for the easy pickings. And the easy pickings are those who have final orders of removal. And that's because they have been ordered removed. They just didn't leave the country. And so they're going to take them and they're going to remove them first because they can, right? There's nothing pending. There's no further relief. There are no further applications pending for them. So they're going to then go for them first. Also, those who have criminal records, those they are going to also target them, because that has been the rhetoric, right? They want to back up. The rhetoric is that there are immigrants in this country that, which a vast majority of immigrants are not, they're law abiding and they have contributed positively to the United States. But the rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric that has been going around is that immigrants are here, especially undocumented immigrants are here and they're criminals. So the next thing they're going to do is back up that rhetoric by going for the ones that are locked up, detained on criminal charges, or convicted for criminal charges. and they're going to detain them and then put them through a process for the deportation. So those are the two groups that we are going to see targeted first, and this is going to create that a dramatic response in January, because it's going to be really easy for them to be able to track those easy targets. Everybody else, I believe that the risk is there, but once again, it's going to be a lot harder to use the resources to gather a vast majority of undocumented immigrants. Remember, we have 13 million undocumented immigrants. It's going to be very hard to get the resources to do that for millions of immigrants. And so I think at some point we're definitely going to see more deportations. However, 13 million is definitely pushing it. So, that is my take on what we can expect for early 2025. How much do you charge for the consultation? $150. You can go and schedule your own appointment by clicking on the link to schedule now. I-765 is 4 months past processing time. I send a service request to USCIS. They respond saying, we're unable to respond to your response at this time. My daughter got her I-765 and travel papers. So, it just depends. I'm not sure why they would say that if it's outside of processing times. Usually they would say that if it's not outside of processing times. So it's hard for me to say why that happened. What can I do? My husband filed an I-130. Hi, I filed I-130 I-485 March 1, 2024 through my U.S. citizen spouse, marriage base. Can you tell me when I'll get the green card? So those take 10 to 12 months. So we'll see. But come next year, during the Trump administration, we did see where through the policies they created, they complicated the even family-based processes. So they there were delays because it went through a rigorous fraud detection. There were interviews required for every single case. And so we might see delays coming because of that. My VAWA case is processing 19 months now. My brother's home country is sick. Can I do request my case process fast? I'm married to a U.S. citizen. I have advanced parole. So this is where you definitely have to talk to your attorney. I'm not your attorney. I'm not giving legal advice tonight, nor ever. This is general information. But in this case, where you have an emergency and you want to travel on the advanced parole, you want to talk to your attorney about the risks, that you fully understand the risk, and so that you can make an informed decision about whether you should travel on that advanced parole. Can someone eligible for T visa if employer doesn't give the SSN half tax and benefits to employee? Please let me know. That alone, if the employer doesn't give SSN, Social Security, tax and benefits to the employee, I would have to evaluate your facts more closely to see what's going on there to determine whether that qualifies for T. That alone doesn't tell me whether it qualifies. I have a question. If someone marries a U.S. permanent resident, can they remain in the U.S. while they are processing? If yes, what terms? You have to be in status. That means you haven't overstayed. You have to have a current priority date before filing. So you have your visa, no overstaying visa, current priority date. That means that you're at the top of the wait list in order to file for that. And you have to file it before any kind of overstay. So you keep that in mind. But if you have an overstay, then adjustment of status is not going to work here. Is withholding of removal safe from Trump deportation threat? Withholding of removal literally means that you've been granted relief from the judge saying that you cannot be removed to your country because you're likely to face harm if you go back to your country, certain harm if you go back to your country. This is a judge ordered relief. So it should be safe because we haven't heard they're going to change that relief. You're still going to go through due process to see if you get relief like asylum or withholding of removal. So I would say that if you've been granted withholding of removal, then you're safe from deportation. Where I have seen them take away withholding of removal is where there are circumstances in your country that have changed. And as a result of that, now that danger is not in your country anymore. So then they proceed with removal, with the removal once they determine things are okay in your country. Hi, good night, Karen. Nice to see you. Can Trump revise approved green card during Biden administration? It's unlikely. Green card holders, U.S. citizens, they have not said that they're going to be doing anything to. I mean, I know they mentioned denaturalization of U.S. citizens, but keep in mind that that is very hard to do, and they have to prove a lot to be able to take away your citizenship. For green cards, they can take it away if they determine there was fraud involved. Outside of that, they're not gonna just go and just start taking everybody's green cards away. Um, but the mistake is not on the real form for the medical, but just the Walgreens receipt that I took COVID vaccine. Just want to know if there will be any problems. So I'm not sure. Usually the doctor fills out the medical form and the doctor will usually tell you what you need to show them that you've gotten the COVID vaccine. So um, I would have to evaluate what did the doctor complete in the form. I submitted I-485 adjustment of status this year. April, I got my work permit and travel document. Please, what date they're gonna approve my green card? It just depends on what kind of case is being filed. Sent in VAWA. Um, Sent in VAWA November 2024. Got my receipt notice. When can I update prima facie? So about 2 months after. A friend came to America through F2 office, found love, got pregnant, and gave birth here in America, but over a year, can she still file for asylum? They need to talk to, they can always schedule to talk to us about it to see if that's an option. My husband withdraw his I-130. My I-485 got denied. I used to work for an employer back in 2021, was underpaid. Can I apply for a T visa? So being underpaid alone doesn't qualify, but it is a red flag. If you were underpaid and mistreated, and sometimes they promise to pay a certain amount, then they pay you underpay what they promise, then they're taking deductions from your pay in addition to mistreating you, that may be a T visa. I would say here, don't count yourself out, but get legal advice. And that's what we're here to do. So get with us. Let's talk about it. I'm Canadian, unskilled worker. How can I get a job in America? So EB through the EB3 is one way. That's an employer has to sponsor you for that. I have green card from VAWA. Is that any issue when I come back from India, visit for 2 months? I'm not your attorney and I can't give you legal advice, but traveling on a green card for 2 months should not be an issue. Definitely return with your green card. So if you're outside of the United States, return with your green card. You're fine. Now, keep in mind, I'm not your attorney, but generally, traveling on your green card, you don't need a travel document. You can go in and out of the country with your green card. Good night. If I marry a green card holder, can I remain in the US while the process? I already answered that. If you overstay, no. If you are going to end up overstaying, no. You must file it before you overstay and show that you have a current priority date. If you don't know what a current priority date is, that is your sign to get legal advice. You need to call and schedule an appointment, and you need to do it way before you overstay. Received a biometrics appointment after filing for FAWA in November. Does that mean I'll be getting the work permit soon? I would say the work permit takes 6 to 12 months. I just filed for my husband's I-130 and he's here in the US. I received a receipt number. What's going to happen next? So, should I now file I-485? If you're a US citizen, you could have filed the I-130 and the I-485 together. If you're a permanent resident, but he has a current priority date, then you can file the I-485, as long as he has not overstayed. Any chance that bona fide for T1 visa application submitted before 28th of August? Thanks and blessings. So what we're seeing is that the bona fide determination, they are putting those to the back burner for those who applied before August 28th, and they're prioritizing those that have been that applied after August 28th. So that's a pattern that I'm seeing. So we have to wait to see if they're going to start to issue those bona fides for those before. Where they said they would issue a bona fide for those who applied before August 28th was if they review the application and they have to issue a request for evidence. So while they issue the request for evidence, they issue a bona fide determination so that the applicant can still seek relief and get a work permit while the request for evidence is being straightened out. I applied for FAWA almost 3 years ago. I received prima facie determination, but never received a work permit. Did you apply for the I-485? That's where that's important. Hi there, Trudy. My friend got a 10-year green card a little over a year ago, but they didn't hyphenate her last name as it was before on her 2 years and all her documents. What are the forms to fill to fix that? The I-90 is going to be where you can get them to correct mistakes that they made or that you even made. So yes, the surgeon already filled everything in the form, but she added the Walgreens that say I took the vaccine as well, although she said no problem, but I'm just curious. So, when it comes to the doctor, the doctor has to be authorized. As long as they are authorized by the USCIS, they should know the procedure and they should know what's acceptable to show that you have the vaccine. So it should be fine as long as they are an authorized doctor and they know the protocol. All right. Thanks so much for your time. I am so glad that I got to connect with you today. I am, as usual, always aiming to come on to connect with you again. But if I don't see you before the new year, I'll definitely see you next year, 2025. We're going to be entering with hope, with knowing that we're seeking opportunities for 2025. And I just want you to take away this bit is that no matter what comes at us in 2025, adversity is opportunity. It is an opportunity. It's an opportunity now to push yourself to say, this is the time I'm going to get my papers. You can give us a call. Let's talk about what your situation is and find that solution for you. To do that, go to the link in the profile, schedule your appointment yourself, or you can call. You can even DM us and the DM us, but keep in mind, DM this page. These are the official pages. Do not go to any other page to DM because the staff only works here. We do not WhatsApp. We don't take Cash App. So, because there have been scammers out there that have been doing things in our name. So, please be careful. Only go through our official site, and that the way you're going to find the official site is by clicking on the link in the profile, clicking on the link tree, going to our official website, going to the official booking page, and scheduling there. We don't take money by Cash App. We don't take by Venmo. We don't take by Zelle. We don't do any of those payment methods. We only take by debit, credit card, and PayPal, and that is through the official website. So go ahead, book with us, and we would be more than happy to assist you going into 2025, to keep you with your family, to get you the reassurance and security and protection you need, and for you to finally get the opportunity after the adversity. All right. Have a good one. Happy New Year. Hopefully, I'll talk to you tomorrow, but Happy New Year. I hope you enjoy it, and just think, manifest on what you want for 2025, and let's make it happen. All right. Have a good one, everybody.